joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Just to confirm, 3 o'clock is the timing for the first of our 2 featured matches this afternoon here at Roehampton. So, a little under a quarter of an hour today. 2019 GANT Championships. Warming up on court now, we're delighted to welcome Dustin Brown and Cristian Garin. Now, a number of people have asked me once again about the format, and we have a thoroughly modern format, often known as the fast fours format. The first 4 sets are played over the best of 7 games. So the first to 4 games wins the early sets. There's a standard tiebreak at 3-all to decide each of those sets. And if we go to a 5th set, it will be a pro tiebreak, the first to 10 points with a 2-point margin. Now, very importantly for the audience, and indeed for the players themselves, we don't use net calls here. So when there is a net call, the ball is considered live if it falls into the service box. We've seen some intriguing points won and lost that way already. And increasingly popular, we have the sudden death deuces in the game. So at deuce, the receiver chooses on which side he would like to accept the serve, and that point decides the game. Now, in our now versus next format, the teams are currently 1 point each after yesterday's games. And here this afternoon, on my left, on the Bentley side of the court, we're delighted to welcome back to the Roehampton Club, Dustin Brown. Dustin's reached a highest ATP ranking of 64. He's a world top 50 doubles player, and he is, of course, one of the most entertaining and well-known players on the tour. His greatest claim to fame is arguably beating Rafa Nadal at Wimbledon in 2015. What a lot of people don't know is that Dustin's record means that he has never been beaten by Rafa Nadal, one of only 4 top 100 players to be able to claim that, because they met again, and once again, Dustin triumphed. He plays mainly on the ATP Tour and the Challenger Tour, and he's accrued a total of 24 career titles. Welcome back to Roehampton, Dustin Brown. Dustin is representing the now generation, and the next generation is represented by his opponent today, Cristian Garin from Chile. He's aged 22, and his current ATP ranking is 37. He's a former top 5 junior player, and is considered one of the most promising young players on the tour at the moment. As a junior, his best performance was winning the Junior French Open in 2013. He's not sat around as a fully fledged pro, because this year he managed to win his first ATP Tour title at the Houston Open, and then he also went on to win the Munich Open, making him one of only 4 players this year to have won 2 tournaments in this season. Please welcome Cristian Garin. Presiding over proceedings from the big green chair, we have Thiago Sturma from Brazil.
So Paul Mendelsohn there.
Ladies and gentlemen, Cristian Garin, to turn the court to serve.
Bringing us up to speed with the background of the 2 players. And me, Tony Hawks, I'm joined by Anna Smith in the commentary booth here. The rather unglamorous tent that we're in. It's quite hot on a lovely sunny day. Not that we're bitter.
Not at all.
But we got a good view of what should be some spectacular tennis, though. Dustin Brown, what can you say about him? You never know what's coming, do you? He's he played here last year. He's a great crowd pleaser, isn't he?
He really is. He's got the full array of shots, and I think he's a little bit different in the sense that he'd never really had any coaches growing up. He kind of was self-taught, and that's why he's probably got so much creativity and flair to his game.
Yep. It's difficult. we forget sometimes that he's actually German, and the stereotype of German is kind of not the opposite of the way he is in a way, because he's all flair and does the unexpected. He doesn't do what you expect him to do, but that's what makes him so exciting to watch, and he can be a giant killer. He's especially on the grass. Already making Cristian Garin think. I mean, Cristian Garin, looking at him, and he won the French Open Juniors, so he's got the build of a clay court player, hasn't he? So it'll be interesting to see how he adapts to grass. But he clearly knows his way around it. Of course, if you grow up in Chile playing your tennis, you're going to be playing on clay most of your career, and the only time you'll get to play on grass is when you do well enough to come to Britain, pretty much. Europe, maybe a few grass courts in Germany and Holland and Australia, but not in South America.
Not that I'm aware of, anyway. It'd be interesting to see if he's played any tournaments in the lead up to Wimbledon apart from this match today. I'm not sure if he's, I don't know if he played in Eastbourne perhaps, or Hertogenbosch or something like that, but
he's certainly onto that one pretty quickly, and he's not looking like he's struggling with the surface. What's interesting about Dustin Brown, whether he'll do it today, is that he's prepared to play a match and serve and volley on every point and every serve and second serve, and just keep plugging that tactic. See if he does it today. And he hits his second serve about as hard as his first.
he doesn't hold back at all.
Beautiful serve up the middle.
120.
Yeah, it's quick. It'll be an interesting battle there, because on paper, you know, in the rankings and the success, you'd expect Cristian Garin to win this easily, but this is the time of year when Dustin Brown knows he can create shocks. He loves the grass, he throws himself around. It suits his flair game, and he's already had a big upset. I think he beat Zverev in Stuttgart. So he's beaten a top 10 player, and off he goes. That beautiful chip return. And a player like Cristian Garin won't be used to that. That won't happen to him very much on the tour, will it?
No, there's not. I don't think there's anyone quite like Dustin Brown on the tour. He can literally hit any shot off any ball. I think he sort of just makes up as he goes along, and it's kind of what he fancies on the day a little bit. But he's so unpredictable, and you know, Cristian Garin's never gonna see the same ball twice, I wouldn't have thought, in this match.
Yeah. And in this format, you know, the sudden death, you only need one break, and if he serves well, that's all he needs.
15.
But he's got a big serve too, Garin, and he's all he does is just hit those big ground strokes away for winners.
15.
It's just, it's a poor point all round, wasn't it? A pretty awful drop shot, pretty awful response from Dustin Brown. We'll see better as this match warms up.
I think they're both trying to just find their feet out here a little bit.
Yeah. Dustin Brown, of course, came over and played in this event last year and was a great crowd pleaser, as he always is.
Time.
I don't think Rafael Nadal will want to see his name next to his in the first round of Wimbledon.
I think the draw came out today.
Ah, we can have a look at it later then.
I'm pretty sure he doesn't face Dustin Brown, although Nadal won't be happy with his draw. He's got a potential second round with Nick Kyrgios.
Oof.
If they both come through their first matches.
Okay. A little bit loose.
30.
Yeah. It's a big second serve, and then he loves the drop volley, doesn't he? Absolutely. The touch on it is quite exquisite. Textbook serve and volley tennis. And that's put himself under a little bit of a pressure, because that's a sudden death point, which is a break point and a game point. He needs to get the hang of that shot, Cristian Garin, because that's going to happen a lot in this match. Drop volleys behind the first volley.
And then as soon as he reads it, he's really going to start hitting it deep again.
Yeah. Well, that's true, yeah. He's not a big man, Garin, but he's getting a lot of pace on that serve, isn't it? So it's not all about height.
He uses his legs really well on the serve.
Yeah. So explain to the non-initiated, the uninitiated, what do the legs do in a serve? A lot of people say the legs have got nothing to do with it.
They have a lot to do with it. It's where you kind of get the drive up from the ground from. It's all well and good just using your arm, but there's only so much power you can get from your arm, so you need to use that whole body and get that rotation in it, and also have that push from the legs.
So it's a spring, isn't it? It's like bending down and then...
It's like a coil. You're kind of like bending down to release the coil, and
Yeah. So
but
you
it all has
explode
to
up into the ball.
exactly. But it all has to work in unison. If that's off, then then everything goes off.
Yeah. And if players get leg injuries in matches, it really does affect their serve, doesn't it?
Or back issues as well.
Yeah.
I remember I had a back problem and my back spasmed and I could not serve. It was the worst feeling.
Ooh, just that's making him play that extra volley. Key part of grass court tennis. If you can just chase something down, you only need one. These kind of matches will turn on 1 or 2 points.
It's pretty much the story of grass court tennis.
Yeah.
It always comes down to 1 or 2 points, especially in the men's game with their serving.
Wow. He's teed off on that one. Just picking up his little protector off
His little Dumby,
Yeah.
he's the shock absorber
Yeah.
from his racket. He hit it so cleanly, it just flew.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, take that one.
One more.
You know who's going to try and hit another one.
I don't think he's not that good. Oh,
Brown.
what a second serve that is.
Just a 120-mile-an-hour second serve.
He's quite prepared to take the odd double fault, isn't he? That he'll just sort of go for it. So, tie break now. Dustin warming up, enjoying himself. It's a good return.
1-0, Brown.
Good length return, and that's straight in with a mini break. But I think there'll be a few somehow.
Garin.
So, all we've had is mini breaks. And that's a good return, wasn't it? That was a tough volley he had to make there.
Again, I think those guys do like a target sometimes. If the serve goes into the slot, it's hard for the volleyer to pick it up off their toes.
Yeah, they love a target. That is the sort of classic grass court play, isn't it? Bring them in with a drop shot and then lob volley, and then smash. That was lovely to watch.
It's always nice when those kind of points come off.
Yeah. And I think a player that plays as many good drop shots as Dustin Brown can just throw a ground stroke player off their rhythm slightly, because they're used to moving from side to side, but not charging forward quite so much, especially with somebody who's such a good volleyer the other side of the net.
I think it's just the whole combination with Dustin. He just is so unpredictable that you never know what he's going to come with, and you know, whether it's 120-mile-an-hour second serves or suddenly throw in a drop shot when it's least expected, and, or chip and charge, or you know, sometimes he just stays at the back and is solid. You just don't know what you're going to get.
He is the player for whom the expression "expect the unexpected" was written for. Three all. Everything to play for. That, of course, is the downside to the going for the 120-mile-an-hour second serve. There'll be more double faults. Few errors in this tie break. That's kind of shot he'll want to be getting right when he goes to SW19 next week. Kind of bread and butter forehand cross-court winner. Very solid and aggressive play from Garin. Dustin did make sure of that second serve, and it meant that Garin was on all over it right from the word go. Got himself 2 set points. Superb. I wouldn't be expecting Garin to win many of those kind of quick exchanges, but he did. Let's watch this. Bang, bang. Great stuff. Quite know why he's apologising there.
I'm not sure either. He did so well to get that back. I don't think Dustin was expecting. Once he got that forehand volley back, I think Dustin thought he'd won the point and was quite surprised when he missed that backhand volley.
Yeah, just flicked it back. So Cristian Garin is representing the next generation. That's the format of this event. It's now versus next.
Time.
And yeah, so the theme is very much the players coming through. Cristian Garin 21 and Dustin Brown at the twilight of his career at 34, although Federer has shown he can just keep on and keep on. On the subject of players playing for a long time, I've got a little trivia question for you, Anna, I'll throw out.
No.
Wow, look at that beautiful forehand. What do you think the longest time between Wimbledon finalists is? So the longest period between somebody being in a final and then appearing in another final. How many years do you think it might be?
Is it at Wimbledon or is it
at Wimbledon?
Wimbledon?
Yeah.
Male or female?
Male.
Oh God.
I think it's fair.
I'm terrible with tennis trivia.
Well, to be fair, this would probably be a little bit before your era as well. I would say that the first final was played quite possibly before you were born. Probably not the second one, I don't know. If I say the second final was against Jimmy Connors.
Okay.
You're familiar with Jimmy Connors?
Yeah, I do know the name.
Okay.
Maybe 11 years?
And the answer's 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Ken Rosewall was in the final when he was 19.
Uh-huh.
And then in the final again 20 years later when he was 39 against Jimmy Connors.
That is an incredible stat.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, you can use it.
You
can have it.
Can I borrow that one?
Yeah.
I think there was another interesting thing that came out of the Wimbledon draw today as well. I think the youngest ever player, apart from Laura Robson, to play, she just qualified. I think an American girl is 15.
Yeah.
She plays against Venus.
Because I think Serena is an all-time hero or heroine. She's playing Venus. Oh.
Yeah, I think that was the draw that came out today.
And who knows in that kind of match as well, you know.
I think I was reading it's a 24-year age gap.
It was Cristian Garin's turn there to lob and play that kind of canny game. I think the players that have come through qualifying are always very dangerous because they've had a lot of competitive tennis playing on grass the week before, and that makes them more dangerous, I think, sometimes than a player who's just ranked a little bit higher and has turned up and had maybe 1 or 2 matches and just some practice. So qualifiers can be very dangerous.
I think they also don't have anything to lose, you know. They can kind of go in probably as underdogs and have a bit of a free swing, which kind of takes off the pressure.
It's a highlight of their tennis career, isn't it? They often, well, it's quite possible that that player, whose name we don't know, will be on one of the show courts against Venus.
I think her name's Coco.
Which is the same name as my dog.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, Coco.
And Coco Vandeweghe as well.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but she may well be on centre or number 1 court. Yeah, Corrie, she's known as Coco. Yeah. How do you say her next second name? Gorf?
I think so.
I mean, she could well be a future champion, couldn't she, at that age? Yep, dealt with that well. Hit the ball, girl. She'll feel that. They train them not to flinch.
Standing there so stoically.
Yeah.
Thankfully it wasn't one of his biggest. If that was 121, that would have caused some serious damage.
Yeah. What's the fastest kind of serves that are going down in the women's game? Is it still Serena that's the fastest? There's one other that's faster, isn't there? I think it's might even be the German player. Is it? But it's about 110, is it? 115 sort of thing.
Oh, I think Serena's even been up to sort of the 125s. I think it's it's crazy.
Yeah.
She's serving faster than some of the guys out there.
Yeah.
I think Venus was up there as well. serving in the early 120s, even potentially mid-20s as well.
Yeah.
Love 15.
Look at the technique of this Cristian Garin serve. See how much leg bend there is there. Oof, there was a chance there. So, there should be a break of serve here. There are 4 break points, effectively. He just flicks a one-hander down the line there.
A bit like Songa was doing yesterday.
Yeah. He's lost a bit of rhythm on the serve, Garin. It's just hasn't made a first serve. And that's it. That's how to break. Just extraordinary. He's serving really well, and then you turn out and you have one game and the rhythm's gone and you don't know why, and you're broken. And what can cause that? The ball toss, just lack of concentration. It's a mystery, isn't it?
If I knew that, I'd be a millionaire, but
Yeah.
it can happen with any shot. It's probably one of the most frustrating things about tennis. You can be hitting your forehand, serve, backhand, whichever shot it is, amazingly well, and then the next minute you just hit one shot and then you completely lose your timing on it and have absolutely no idea how to get it back.
Yeah. Is it in a way in your head you've got to go back to basics and just say, right, watch the ball, get followed, you know, simple things like that? Or try anything, I guess. He's on a roll here. This is 7 points in a row from Dustin. That's how to finish off a second set. About a 7-minute set, I think.
Even quicker than the first set we had in the first match.
Yeah. Well, I can't remember what happened in there. I think he won about 10 points in a row to win that. So certainly had 2 love games. So it must certainly won the game before. So it must have at least been 9 in a row. So fine performance. And a difficult game to call this, because he, just as he can go red hot, he can go off the boil as well, can't he, Dustin, and just be wild, and you just don't know what you're going to get.
That is what makes him so unpredictable. It's probably what's the most frustrating thing about him as an opponent. You just don't know when he's going to catch fire and when he's going to go cold again.
Oof. That was a beautiful return. He's slipped going for that, but I think he's okay. Let's have a look. Ooh, that's a nasty little twist. Of course, grass is a nice surface to fall on, but it's easier to fall on it, isn't it? Because the grass can be slippery, that lush grass.
Yeah, it's not great for your ligaments and things like that when you take a fall on the grass, but thankfully I think he just slid and just more landed on his bum than anything else.
Got it. First game, third set. 15. Love 13.
Full of tricks, man.
What have you made of it so far?
Just very, very entertaining. I mean, Brown completely dominated that second set, I felt. It's almost over in the second.
That's what happens with these first to four. If you get a break and you get on a roll, it's pretty much game over for the set.
That's very true, as you mentioned, yes. If you get a quick break and hold serve the game's, yeah, the set's over pretty quickly.
So what would be your tactics against Dustin if you had to play him? What would you go out and have your game style be?
I think against
is there a game style that you'd actually have, or would you just sort of have to wing it a little bit?
Yeah, I think you would have to just not let his antics get to you. Know, he's always gonna try and be entertaining and do his thing, and you gotta be professional and not let it get to you really.
Easier said than done sometimes when he's hitting these tweener winners past you and drop shots and all the other stuff he comes out with.
Yeah, as you say, it can be hard to concentrate on your own game when your opponent's just the star of the shirt sometimes, you know.
You just don't know what you're going to get from him, and it's hard to kind of implement a game plan against him, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Garin did really well on that point, especially just making Brown play that extra shot and pushing him and just making him play. I think that's the game plan that I would use against him. Just make him play more and more shots and try and get him to go for the silly shots. Really.
Suddenly found his rhythm on his serve again. It sort of went a little bit awry in that second set, but seems to have got it back. He's almost, at the start, he almost reminds me a little bit of Raonic, the way he kind of sets up for the serve. I don't know if that's just me who's noticing that.
No, very much so, yeah, very, very Raonic-esque.
Yeah, it's not quite the pace on it, but seems to be serving him well at the moment.
Yeah, I mean the big servers always do well on the grass court to shoot. If your serve is a weapon, it's always gonna be efficient on this surface. And as we've seen with Brown, he's sent down some bomb serves there.
Especially on those second serves as well. There's been a couple of 120 second serves.
Yeah, that second serve's going 120 miles an hour. That's the Dustin Brown effect, I guess. It's add a bit of show to it, add a bit of why not, you know.
Exactly. I think we all wish we had a 120 second serve.
Garin.
Question is can he get it in enough? Can he get it in consistently enough?
another question is, does that bother him enough to stop him doing it? I don't think it does.
Doesn't seem like he keeps doing it. And I mean, it's then again, I mean, his style of play is it's very entertaining, but it's hard to maintain. You know, it's hard to stay at the top with that style of players for years. You know.
I think that's probably why you kind of see his ranking fluctuate a little bit. He's obviously, his career high was 64, but now he's obviously around 150. It's hard to maintain, like you said, but do you think he would be as successful if he sort of went for a stricter game style, or do you think it would detract from what he brings to the court and kind of take away his weapons?
It's a very good question. I think he's here for the show. He's here to entertain, and he's here to really enjoy every moment of it. And if this is his way of doing it, and he's obviously having a good time, and obviously a very good player as well. So I mean, it's worked for him, but can it work for other people? That's to be seen. Do you think we can compare Brown to Kyrgios, or is that a bit of a difficult one there?
I mean, I suppose in certain aspects you probably can, maybe a little bit in sort of, you know, like showmanship and the fact that they like entertaining the crowd, both of them, but I suppose, you know, potentially an attitude. You wouldn't say Dustin's attitude can be called into question as much as Kyrgios's perhaps, and things like that, but you know, you have to look at Kyrgios and probably say he's got a bigger game style, and obviously he's produced it on a more consistent I'm loath to use the word consistent basis, because you know it's not that consistent, but he does have the power to beat the top guys, or on a regular basis, whereas Dustin is a little bit more hit and miss with those guys.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Kyrgios has cracked the top 20, he's not even top 10 in the world, and won major tournaments, and Dustin Brown has, as you said, has a career high of
64.
64, that's right.
I mean, he beat Nadal at Wimbledon a couple of years ago, and recently beat Zverev at the Stuttgart Open, but apart from that, you see Kyrgios against sort of Djokovic. I think he's been Djokovic, Federer and Nadal on a couple of occasions as well, so it's not just been a flash in the pan. He shows that he can beat the very best. It's just whether he fancies it on the day, I think.
I agree. I think he's got the talent, he's got the game, and I think the attitude is the big part for Kyrgios. But as you said, Brown doesn't seem to have those attitude problems. He just seems to just want to entertain the crowd and have a good time himself, and that's why he is probably loved in the game of tennis, but among spectators as well. Whereas Kyrgios is a bit more controversial.
I think that's a bit of an understatement. I think the crowd don't know whether to love him or hate him.
That's true.
Still another 2 set points here for Garin.
See if he can convert one of them. Big serve here would do.
Game and third set, Garin. By 2-1. Garin is by 2 sets to 1.
Anna's gone, it's me back in the booth with Luke.
That's right.
That was a quick set, wasn't it? So I had a little break there for a set, and it lasted about 8 minutes, I think, that set.
Yeah, that's what the fast four format gives you, really. Some
Yeah.
quick sets. I'm still undecided on what I think of it, but it's. I mean, it provides shorter matches, but
Yeah.
do spectators want more entertainment? I mean,
40 minutes in this match. I mean, what I must say that the other thing about that match really is because of the nature of the game that Dustin Brown is saying. The points are shorter. Playing, he's coming to the net. It's you can see very long rallies, long juice games, can't you, in at Wimbledon and the Grand Slams, and a 5-set match. You need about 3.5 hours set aside to watch a match, you know, which is quite a big commitment in your day, isn't it? I like this format, I must admit.
Yeah, definitely. And I still like the doubles format. I believe that's a very good format, having that match tiebreak in the third set. I think it makes it a lot more entertaining, and but then it can bridge the gap between the top players in the world and the players who aren't quite there yet. So
Serious with his second serve aces, he does a lot of those.
Yeah, he likes to go for that second serve as well.
So you're saying that when you get that sudden death situation, almost like a sudden death situation, that you can get more upsets? Is that the feeling a little bit?
Yes, definitely. Because if you have advantages, the server obviously has the advantage. He can control the game. Whereas on that deuce point, it's kind of a lottery point really. If you hit a net chord and it goes over, then that's the game. Or if you just play it well, play a bit better than the other person. That's the game right there. So it can turn really quickly and really bridge that gap between the best players in the world and the people who might not be of the caliber. But
I think for the Grand Slams, it's but I think because the points are often so long now at Wimbledon, you know, a game can last 15 minutes sometimes. If there's a lot of juices and advantages,
it can slow the game down, which is, I mean, that's something that they're taking into consideration with these rules. But
my theory is that after you've had 3 juices, then a sudden death point.
Yeah, that would be an interesting.
Oh,
one,
that was a beautiful point. Really. Gosh, this is just a flick of the wrist on the backhand side from Brown. So that's a lovely shot. Watch him just flick it.
Yeah, beautiful.
That's a great touch shot, isn't it?
Not easy to do that one either.
No. He's got a bit of a chance here.
Yeah, maybe take it to 5 sets.
Yeah. And the 5th set is the champions tiebreak, which is what they do in the doubles now, isn't it?
Yeah, and I quite like that system because it's not as long, it's not as hard on the players, because if you're playing 3 sets at this level, it's tiring, and if you play 3 sets for several days in a row, then it adds up, and by the end of that, players become tired, fatigue plays in, and you might not get the same intensity in the next match. You know?
I agree. And in fact, what can happen is the players that do well on the tour are players that happen to have bodies that are very robust and can recover quicker than other players. They're not necessarily that much more talented, but just for whatever reason, they can pick themselves up, dust themselves off easier than other players whose bodies just won't do that.
Yeah, and that's a huge difference. If you can last a career without any major injuries, then that's perfect.
I mean, Federer has done extraordinarily, hasn't he? He's had very few injuries in his career.
Yeah, and you compare that to someone like Del Potro, for example, who's had a lot of wrist problems.
Yeah, all kinds. Yeah.
One more for sets.
And that's a shame, because you don't get to see those kind of players get to their full potential sometimes, you know?
I think he probably had another couple of Grand Slam victories in him, but he was out at that key part of his career, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's a shame.
That's a huge serve, isn't it?
Yeah. That was second serve, I believe, as well.
It's about his 5th second serve ace. Just doesn't hold back. It's accurate as well. I mean, it's...
His service games are going by quickly.
That's the thing. You would see one point on the French clay would last longer than possibly that game did.
That's for sure, and that's the different surfaces, and that's one difficulty that on the tour is being able to adjust to all the different surfaces.
Yeah.
And the players who do that well are the best in the world.
Yeah. I mean, the British players do have an advantage at this time of the year, especially the younger players, because they will have played a lot of grass court tennis, and they'll get people who come over, the younger players who just never played on the grass. And the qualifiers, I think I went to qualifiers one year, and I spoke to a guy who's from Croatia, and have you played on the grass? No, never. And off he goes.
Yeah, that's a huge advantage, having played on a service that no one else has played on before.
Yeah.
It's great, and
there are fewer and fewer grass courts around. I mean, how do you like playing on grass?
I really enjoy it. I think it's a breath of fresh air, really. You know, you don't. The United Kingdom is probably one of the few countries in the world where you can play on very nice and very good grass courts, and it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to watch, and it's a pleasure to play on. And I think the all-white aspect of it also adds something to it, adds some prestige and some elegance, you know.
I mean, certainly it's when the weather's good, and even not when having a rainy period or whatever. It's so enjoyable. It's under your feet, isn't it? It's not physically, it's not so draining. You can dive for volleys. It's not as hot on a hot day. It's not reflecting up at you. It's nowhere near as hot on a grass court as it is on a hard court.
That's for sure, and I know for the spectators, people have always told me that their favourite Grand Slam tournament is Wimbledon because of the grass, because of the traditions.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think that's my favourite as well.
Yeah, I've always been suspicious of that. Whenever you have players saying, you know, this is my favourite tournament, I wonder if they say the same at all the Grand Slams when they're there. You know, we would be able to play them back saying, no, well, you said the Australian was your favourite 3 months ago.
Yeah, gotta be careful.
Yeah. There we go. Watch this. This is the 1-2 play for the bang crunch.
That always works very well on the surface, especially. This one hardcore as well.
Yeah. They will have practiced that till they're blue in the face, wouldn't it? That's the big serve. Crunch the second ball.
I haven't seen much of Garin at the nets in this match, but
no, but he's accomplished.
Yeah, he's still doing.
He did a reflex volley, won a rally that you would expect Brown to have won, and he showed he's got reflexes and touch at the net. And again, we were saying earlier, there aren't any grass courts in Chile that I'm aware of.
A lot of red clay there.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's one of his favourite surfaces, probably, red clay.
Yeah, he won the French Open Juniors, so it's he must love it. Oof, good effort.
Yeah, I know a lot of players from South America, Spain. A lot of them tend to struggle on grass, except for obviously Rafa Nadal, who won Wimbledon several times.
Well, Nadal was helped by the decision that the Bowling Club took to change the pressure in the balls a little bit and actually change the seed of grass that they were using just to slow it up ever so slightly. And it was sitting up a lot more. The years he won were hot, and it was bouncing. The second week it bounces that much higher.
Yeah, that was definitely a big advantage for him.
He was very at home on it, And let's not also forget, he's quite good.
Yeah.
Oof.
There's another net cord coming into play there.
Yeah. We were watching Songa play yesterday, and he just couldn't remember that rule. He'd serve and be a let cord, and he'd forget to hit it.
Yeah, it's a transition.
Yeah.
It can be difficult to make it sometimes when you're used to something, and then all of a sudden you have to adapt to that new situation.
It's not just, it's a lifetime, you know, it's in your muscle memory, everything about it, you just don't. Okay, here's a sudden, there's a big point in this. I think if Brown loses this, Garin is serving for the match. That's a huge point. Oh, an ace with a let cord. That's how to do it.
And that's those two rules that we talked about in play right there.
Absolutely.
And a bit of luck, and suddenly it's right there for Brown to take it into a 5th set.
Yep, which will be a champion's tie break, won't it? If he goes to that.
Yeah.
He'll be looking to try and, I wouldn't mind betting you he'll chip and charge if he gets the second serve. Put a bit of pressure on Garin.
Yeah, I think he'll try and take the net in this game. Brown should take the net in this game quite a lot.
Yeah. He's got nothing to lose, as he can really just go for it. He knows he's got a tie break to follow.
Yeah.
Really come in behind this. I think perhaps he should have done, but he didn't.
Yeah, I think on grass court tennis, the more aggressive player generally tends to take the points.
That's right, and he wasn't that aggressive.
No. It's not. Yeah, it's easier said than done there.
Yeah. Well, he certainly can't come in on that serve.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like we're heading for a tie break to decide this set. He tried to flick that one in.
Trying to get in on that one.
So Garin won the first set tie break.
See if you can replicate that and close out the match.
They'll want this, won't they? Because they're going to play tie breaks when they get to Wimbledon, and there's nothing like playing a tie break in a match situation for tightening up.
Yeah, agreed. And unfortunately, I think Dustin Brown lost in qualifying in Wimbledon.
Did he? So he's not going there next week.
Unfortunately, I don't think he made it. So it was a real shame, because it was always entertaining to watch him, especially on grass court where he beat Nadal. Let's not forget.
Yeah.
There's the net player that we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Being a bit more aggressive.
He knows what he's doing. Look at that, because that was had to get down.
Beautiful
technique.
volley.
Yeah. just pushed it wide.
2-1, round.
Good point, but just
Yeah.
can close it out, unfortunately.
Draw.
Yeah, you'd be expecting him to make that volley, really.
Yeah, I think he took it a bit too casually. Too casual on that volley. Could have put a bit more legs into it. That's more like it.
Yeah. And that volley on grass is a good volley, isn't it? It's short, stays low on a clay court. That sits up for someone to just whack it past you.
Yeah, it's very difficult to get that one back, and even if you get it back, you generally have to lift it up, and the other person has an easy overhead.
Yeah.
Real.
Great. I'd be interested to know how tall he is. He doesn't look like a tall man, but he might be one of those deceptive. I'll need to go and stand next to him.
Yeah. It's hard to tell from here,
he's
but
probably not far off 6 foot actually, although he just looks stocky and shorter. But
he looks like he's got the strong legs there.
yeah, he does put a lot of leg work into this serve.
Round.
So, it's got a mini break, Brown, but
Let's see.
yeah,
See if you can capitalise on it.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
5-3, round.
It's one way of doing it.
You're 2 points away now from taking it to the championship.
Yeah.
Champions tiebreak.
Oh, that's it. Beautiful. Dustin Brown, a bit like a goalkeeper there, gambling. He just ran across to cover the line. Watch this. Watch Brown now. There. It's just like a goalkeeper guessing one way. Went too early, didn't he, really?
Yeah, he did go a bit too early, but Garin held his shot quite well there.
Yeah.
Made him guess.
So we're back on serve in this tiebreak.
Oh, he's missed it.
That's a sort of ludicrous choice.
Been nice if it went in, but
Yeah, but I think he had time to sort of get into position and make a passing shot there, really. It's just he thought, I can't be bothered.
yeah.
Ooh,
Second double fault in this tiebreak.
6,
yes,
5,
it's
round.
given Brown a set point. And we know he can slap down an ace.
Very dangerous on his serve.
Yeah. So the match is exactly an hour old. And if he wins this point, we're into a final set tiebreak. As we were saying earlier, you don't know what you're going to get from Dustin Brown, do you?
Yeah.
Set point.
Goes for the second serve. Big second serve ace down the tee.
Of course, they change ends every 6 points in a tiebreak. Some of us who've watched the really long tie breaks, that can happen sometimes, you know, they change 4 times sometimes.
Yeah.
Up and down. It's a set point or a match point every other point from now on.
Okay. There's the serve you needed on the point before.
Yeah. Sometimes relax on the point after you've, you know, there's not so much at stake. So it's another set point for Dustin Brown to take us into a champions tie break, which I'd certainly like to see. So see what he can do here. Powerful serve.
It's a close one on that one.
Yeah, it wasn't far away, was it? Good by Garin, prepared to come in behind approach shot.
Very strong point there, and came into the net, put the pressure on Brown, and he made the mistake.
He didn't really get anywhere near it. So it's a match point now for Garin. Are we going to see a Dustin Brown double fault? I think there's a fairly good chance. Just tried that shot. Not much in it. A good match and some great tennis played there.
That makes it 2 matches to 1 in favour of the next generation, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take a short break before our second featured match. But before then, please thank Dustin Brown and Cristian Garin. In a packed lineup tomorrow, we look forward to welcoming Dustin back, so we'll see him tomorrow. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, please do visit the GANT pop-up shop, which is on the way up to the clubhouse. Not only could you win a £250 prize voucher today, but also our very own Anton Matuzovic is going to be signing autographs at 4:30 at the GANT pop-up shop. So on your way to hospitality, the ice cream tent, or the drinks stall, please do call in on the GANT pop-up tent.